Hey guys, woodworking engineer here. This is how I took my garage from this to this. So here is my tool and part list for overhead shelves, giving you guys kind of a bird's eye view on the work table. So what you're gonna need is a drill and impact driver, drill for pilot holes, drill for the screws. You're gonna need some way to cut lumber. I've got just my hand circ saw there. The finish nailer is to nail the shelving material onto the frame. You could use screws, but I had nails laying around. I've got some glue there. If it's not too old, I'll use it. An angle grinder for cutting the all thread to length. A laser level for marking your plumb line on the walls and making sure everything's nice and straight. I've got a torpedo level there. Probably also use a 4-foot while I'm doing this. Stud finder, marking utensil. Those are to mark out your stud and rafter locations. Tape measure, some wrenches, more vice grips to fasten the all thread nuts. And then for your fasteners, I'll bring you in a little bit closer here. So here we've got 3-inch construction screws. Those are for putting the frames together, putting the frame into the studs, putting the rails into the rafters. The fender washers, 3/8. So I made up a dummy attachment here. So you'll need a 1/4-inch drill bit for, I got 1/4-inch eye bolts. So that way you can drill it through the frame and put your eye bolt through. So if you could imagine, this is where the 2x4 frame, or actually 2x3 rather, is going to sit in between those washers. And then I could one up here on the ends of the all thread before I cut them. So this is where the piece of wood will sit in between those washers. And then you've got nut, washer, eye bolt, washer, and then I got lock nuts. We'll see how easy these are to use. I may just use standard nuts if they bind up on me, but if I cut the all thread relatively to length, I shouldn't have to force too many threads on there, but the whole purpose is to lock it down so it doesn't move. And then these are your Simpson strong ties back here. They're kind of the, if you would, the miracle makers. They take and thread on to your all thread, and then they've got wood screw that goes into your rails. In my case, I'll be putting rails up on the ceiling. But you can see that screws in and off of the all thread like that. So that's a list of the supplies. You can see lock nuts, a set. I got 10 eye bolt sets. So we'll see how many I use along the perimeter. I plan for pretty much 3 a side and maybe 4 on the back. So that should all come together nicely. And that's for marking out studs, marking out lumber. And that's pretty much how we're gonna get after it. I may use a few more tools. Oh, and a ladder. I got an 8-foot ladder so that I could reach. I think we've got pretty much 10-foot ceilings here. So I want to be able to reach the ceiling comfortably. You don't want to be doing this while stacked on tubs or boxes because that's just not safe. The pilot hole for the 3-inch screws is an 1/8-inch bit. If it'll focus, you can see that the shank is about the same as that 1/8-inch bit. So that will allow the threads to do the work, but not split the wood or the rafters or anything else that I'm building. And as always, a pair of gloves. Don't want to get splinters. And eye protection for cutting the all thread, cutting wood. Don't want anything in your eyes. So we'll get to it. Let's draw up a little bit while we sip on our cup of coffee. Look at that steam. So let's do this. So my plan is to narrate a little bit while I sketch up some of the plans. So we'll start with the garage frame as it is. So roughly we've got, and I'll probably get better with practice. Figure it out, man. So roughly we've got the garage here. And then what we're doing, so the red will be our 2x4s. So we're throwing, or 2x3s rather. We're throwing 2x3s around the perimeter. I don't know why it disappears when you do that. How did that line not go straight? It's probably on through. All right, so those are our 2x4s, 2x3s. I keep saying 2x4s. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna come in here. Our overall shelf width is 2 feet, 4, something like that. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take and we're gonna hang another 2x3 as the inside frame. So now my glasses told me at the end of the recording. That's okay. And then these, so let's go green for all thread. So here is gonna be an eyelet, goes through with a washer, a nut, and then here it's gonna go up to the ceiling. Same thing. Oh, we better get our 2 foot offset over here too. I think that was 1, 2, 3, 4, roughly. I should say not to scale as an engineer. And then we're gonna do, this is where I can get creative. I could probably do one all thread eyelet here and an eyelet there, a washer and a nut, and a washer and a nut. And then that'll be one all thread location. And then same here, all thread, washer and a nut. And then all thread here, washer and a nut. So it gives me 4 points. Let's take a sip of coffee. Let's get some dimensions on here. So here to here, halfway is 9, so it's roughly approximately 18 feet. Now, that doesn't necessarily matter too much. The only thing is that I've got,
hello, how can I assist you today?
Disregard. My glasses just went off. I think we're gonna set those down. So back to what I was getting at. So my building materials, if you will, are 2 foot by 8 foot in dimension. So I'm going to use them long ways here in this dimension. As of right now, it's going to be 8 feet. There is, right about here, there is a frame. And I'll go like this, garage door frame. And there'll be one over here too, frame. And I think I've got a video of me talking through that option while I was up on the ladder. I'm thinking I'll slot and slide the piece down. So it should still work. But what that means is that here, my one panel is gonna go 2 feet. And then from here out, it's gonna go 8 feet. But this distance is actually closer to 7 feet, give or take. I'll measure it once the sides are in. So that means that that'll be a 7 foot piece. This will be a 7 foot piece. And this will be an 8 foot piece. So I've got 4 each of 2 by 8. So that will fit. There'll be a break line there. Oh, that needs to be cleaner than that, guys. Come on, we're engineers here. There'll be a break line here in the middle. There'll be a break line here. And there'll be a break line here. And those will be my frames. And then just to add a little bit more clarity, we're gonna go in here. And this will be a 2x4, 2x3. This will be a 2x3, and then I'll probably put at least 1, if not 2, 2x3s in here for extra support and rigidity. And then the same thing here, double up, and then here we'll have a 2x3, 2x3, and then same thing, probably 2 evenly spaced here and here. So that'll be the frame. And then, is there anything else I'm missing? All thread locations. So I'll definitely add all thread here in the middle. I'll have to capture these 2, all thread, washer and nut. And then, so I plan for 10 locations of all thread. So right now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've got 2 more locations. All of the 2x3s are going to be connected with screws. So 3-inch screws. So they will all be connected to each other. So really, in terms of weight distribution, it would make the most sense if I could do 1 on each midpoint. I'll have to move that 2x3 it wasn't really centered anyways, or evenly spaced. Get out of here. Sometimes it tries to solve things for you when there's nothing to solve. And then overall is my height of shelves is coming out to, I should measure, but it's coming out to roughly 16 inches. So what that means is I've got 3 each of 10-foot all thread. So that's 30 feet. If I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, if I have 12, and they need to be greater than 16 inches, they need to be long enough to go down below the 2x3s. So 319, column 20 inches. So then I've got, what I have is got 300 inches, right? And what I need is 12 times 20, which it doesn't like when you write on an angle, but 10 times 20 is 200, 2 times 20, so that's 240. So I should have plenty of all thread to do this. I've got 60 inches left over. That I might use for future projects. I really don't think I need much more than 3 a shelf. If I was going crazy, I could probably, here's the other thing that this math has an error in it. I'm seeing now, this all thread will be doubled up if I can get these eyelets to line up just right. So really, that takes out 2 of them at 20 inches each. So that takes off 40 inches. So really I'm at 200 in this configuration. So I have 100 inches to play with. So do I put more all thread or do I save it for future projects? That's the question. Let's take a second think on it. I think I'm gonna save it for future projects. Here's my reasoning. If I were to double this up, this distance right now is gonna be 4 feet. 4 feet is, well, it's gonna be less than 4 feet. Take that back. So that's 2 feet, so this span is 6. So to even it out in the span, that would be 3 feet. 3 feet is a decent amount of space to get a tub in and out. Longer box. I've got a Christmas tree box that is probably my longest thing to plan for to go in and out. So if I were to double them up, that would be 6 feet. Right now, it's 6 feet divided into 2 spans, which is 3 feet. If I were to divide it up further into 3 spans, aka 4 locations, that would only give me 2 feet in between all thread, and that is too low. So we're gonna go with 3 feet. Now here, these are truly 4 feet because they're not returning with the shelf going against it. So that all being said, these are gonna be the easier shelves to get longer pieces in and out of because the span between all threads is going to be longer. But these are going to be the sturdier shelves because they've got smaller spans between all threads, between supports. They're all going to be strong, but the weight limit on these is going to be higher in all reality than on the ones above the garage. So with that, I think we're going to finish our cup of coffee, get some energy back, and keep after it. All right, after some modern ingenuity, the tubs I bought to go on the shelves work perfect for my stand on my laser. My laser stand is not that tall, so I think I've got it set roughly to where I want it to be. It's just a hair over the frame of the top rail that the car slides on for the garage door. Because I have somebody else who lives here, and they might hit the garage door, I'm gonna just do that. So that makes it to where if the lift runs, this stays. It's not gonna go anywhere, it's not gonna hit me. On a lot of garage doors, there's also a lock. I'm trying to see if I've got one. Like a manual pin lock. You can do that as well. If you're trying to be, might as well, just in case, since I'm working home alone, you can always use a pair of vice grips and put them in the rail, and then they're not gonna go, that garage door is not gonna go anywhere. All right, so now I'm gonna get up here, tight up. Let's see, what I'm shooting for is I want pretty much 1 inch of clearance for the bottom of my shelves between any obstacles. So I'm gonna measure, I've got right at 1 inch, spot on. So I feel comfortable with that being the bottom. So now what I wanna do is I wanna run a line on my wall so I know what to hit for. And the best way to do that is probably with a 4-foot level. So I'm happy with that line, so I'm going to strike it across. A good mark out just makes your job a lot easier. And testing my level, my laser level, to my bubble level. That's pretty spot on. I like it. So now with that up there, I'm going to strike our marker line. So now I've got a reference line on the job. Now, if I was really smart, I would have brought the stud finder up with me, because then I could give myself crosshairs. But just in case my laser level gets bumped or whatever, I've now got that mark to come back to. But I'd rather mark it all the way across, just for peace of mind. It's thrilling content, I know. And now, we'll give ourselves a mark on the back wall. My body is going to be in the way, but I'll be able to catch the level. Mark first, line that corner up. That's pretty dead level. We're good on that edge. We're level. Got that line. Now, it's still visible, but it's very faint after that mark. So, what I'll do, even though it should stay the same height as I twist it, I'm going to give myself a mark on this side, if I can get the ladder over there, or reach over. Probably reach over just fine. On that side, give myself a mark. That'll be a transfer mark, so I can twist and get the rest of it. Let's see how the twisting works. Twist to that side, because I can always set up now that I got my transfer mark over and do this other half. I'm going to focus on that half first, I believe. Let it settle down. And it's pretty much right there, within reason, for garage shelves. It's a little high, but if I go the bottom side of the line, I'll be able to transfer that just fine. And whenever working with a laser level, try not to set it up where it's going to be in your eyes. And don't look straight into it. You don't want to lose your vision over a set of shells. All right, so I'm going to go bottom of the laser. I'm going to line up with this mark right about there. I like it. I'm going to pinch it to the wall. Grab my writing utensil. Oh, we moved. It happens. Get me set up there. My level. You can tell the wall has a bow in it, because as I press on the level, it likes to rotate. Isn't that something? All right. We have, for lack of a better word, a level plumb line. Should probably vacuum this stuff up while I'm up here. All right, now we're gonna always keep it in your pocket, because if you put it down on a surface, you're gonna lose it. And the time is 9:50 in the morning, so we'll see how long this project takes. All right, stud finder. And here's the other thing, I can cheat a little bit. I know where the studs are because of the shelves I put up here. So where the brackets are, I know I've got studs. So that's gonna be my bottom of my 2x4 or 2x3. I keep saying 2x4 just because it's nomenclature. And I know that I've got a stud here. And they should be 16-inch centers. So I also know, based on where this bracket is, right here, it should be roughly right here. So I'm gonna stare at that spot, and I can see a nail pop too. So that's also a dead giveaway. So get this working. There's one mark. Come from the other side. There's the other mark. So now I know this is a stud right there. And then should be 16 inches on center. So I'll keep running out. That one might be a double stud. What that is. Double check. Maybe not. It's finding something back there. That's consistent. I'm gonna say that's a double stud right there. I can see nail pops. I'm gonna keep with this as the stud. There shouldn't be any utilities in this wall. There's no outlets. So they make other stud finders that, and this one does have a warning electric when it senses electric going through it. But let's get another marking. Might be another double stud. No, we just got that mark off. So that is center of that stud. So laser line. And I don't think we're gonna catch another stud over there. I can run it until we get to the frame. Nope. And if I double check, just for peace of mind, I'm gonna double check that I'm 16 inch. 16, 32. It's a little bit off here or there by an eighth or so, but pretty much 16 centers. Build quality, right? is a safety risk. That's fun. I have a motion activated light, so maybe not the safest thing to have in a shop, especially if you're working away from the motion detector. So we've got that lined out. Let's keep going with it while we're doing it, because might as well. Now there is obviously some logistics to moving stuff a bunch of times left and right. So I'm gonna build this half of the shelves and then build the other half after I move a bunch of stuff. Because that's how life works. We just have stuff everywhere. Now I have to say it, but when working around garage springs, be very careful. There's hidden energy in them. They're all twisted up. So don't bang them. Just kind of be careful. You don't have to be too worried, but just know where the risks are whenever you're working. Light turning off while you're doing this. I know it might happen. All right, that's pretty cool. Now, my overall materials, I have 4 2x8 sheets. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna measure. If I've got 2 feet over there, that's where that's gonna end, and then plus 8 is 10. So to our midpoint, we're 9 feet, which tells me 2 things. It tells me that I'm not gonna build standard 2x8s, because if I'm less than 10 feet, I'm gonna have to have some cuts, because 2 plus 8 is 10. Now what I'm also gonna do is I'm gonna take a measurement now that I can get a nice ladder up here and see what I am to, since I don't really wanna jut around this garage frame. I could slot it, but if I were to end it, from all the frame is 7 and change. So even if I did use a full 8-footer, it wouldn't really gain me much, because so there is 89 inches, pretty much. 88 to a 1x. So what that tells me is if I were to do 9 foot is 96, get some more out of here, and we'll put 8 foot on the wall. That would only gain me 8 inches past the rail to slot it. This is where decision making comes in. Now, I don't care about it burning past the shelf if I do decide to keep the shelf tucked on this side. But in essence, this red line is going to be our shelf, bottom of shelf. So it's a 2x3, which is truly, I think, 2.5 inches, and then the top lid is an 1/8. So call it 3 for good math. So my top of shelf is actually going to be here. So the shelves themselves are going to be just about 16.5 tall. And my tubs that I'm planning on using for the majority of the storage are 15 change, 15.25 to the top of the stuff. So they'll fit. It does kind of seem like I would want to bring this down. However, I want, number one, this shelf I want to keep high, the bottom of it, so that if this ever needs to be addressed, the garage spring, if it ever breaks, they can have good access to it as they need to. The other benefit is if I have it all one level, I can slide boxes around the entire perimeter pretty easily without having to take it off, put it back on. The main thing is this may seem like wasted space right here. I don't know if I'm in frame. I think I am. It's not, because 2 things. Because of the frame I'm going to be building, I can mount hooks or what have you to hang tools to go down. The other idea I have in my brain is if I've got a solid structure up here, then I can continue to use the same design with all thread to hang a skinnier shelf that goes down. So yes, I'm 2 feet out to here on my big shelf, which 2 feet's a pretty decent amount of space. You're going to be able to fit a lot. And then I can put a runner in the middle and then tie the all thread to it and run it down and then save floor space. So it's not wasted space. Yes, you're kind of wasting maybe this space right here where my hand is, because your space behind is going to be tucked behind this rail. But better to have clearance on the door moving back and forth than to maximize every single square inch of cubic space. So I've got my studs marked out. I could go ahead and throw up an 8-footer. I'm going back and forth on whether or not to do the entire 8 feet run from the wall to over there. The pros and cons of it are I would have to slot the lid, if you will, on the shelf to fit it around that frame, because that frame is not coming apart, nor do I care to take it apart. And that would ultimately net me 8 inches on the other side of the frame to put something 2 foot by 8 by 15. I can look around and see a few items that fit that description, but I don't know. It does minimize cuts on the framing because all these are 8 foot long. The main thing is, how far does this frame stick out? Because if I go to hang my all thread, it's only 21 inches. So I could run my rail for 2 feet and be on the other side of it. But, so my plan for getting this hung by myself is to slap the back rail on, then find my rafters, which are 2 foot centers, mark them out at 2 feet away from the wall. I'll measure up my lids a little bit more just to make sure they didn't cut them wrong at the store. But just a hair over 2 feet or 2 feet, let's put it this way. I'll put a 2x4 or scrap lumber that is at least 8 feet long and put it on center 2 feet out so that I've got the width of that to catch my Samson ties. I might not be directly in the center of that scrap piece of lumber based on how I want my all threads to hang. But, so general process, slap up the back, just stick a 2x3, slap up a scrap board here, and then I can create at least 2 spots for all thread, and then I can create the back rung with a U shape in the frame. So it'll be the long 8 foot, and then it'll be the 2 foot and the 2 foot. And I'll be able to bring it up to the all thread with the eyelets in it. Hold it up here, it'll be lightweight, and I can screw on a couple nuts and then get final plumb out of it, lock it in to the backer, and then I can bring the lid in, and I'll have 2 all threads in my way to have to work around to get it put in. But that shouldn't be a big deal. The main thing is thinking about slotting it around that. Pros and cons, I get 6 inches that way. I get that 6 inches. If I bring it in, that'll be what I do. This sits about 10 inches away from the wall. So the slot is going to be a little bit annoying in the lid because it has a shelf material, right? You don't want a hole. Now I could piece it back in after the fact because I'll have access from the bottom side. So I can piece in with the piece on top. So maybe what I do is I build a slot to, so where the laser level is on this, build a slot to, it measures 7, where did my line go? Right there. 7 3/4. So call it 7.5 so it doesn't rub. So I'll leave 7.5 of material on that slot, be able to work the material in back behind that angle frame, and then roll it down, and then I can patch it later. That'll probably be what I do. Because yes, I do have to make a slot cut with a jigsaw, but then I don't have to cut all my 8 foots down. I can just hang 8 footers, and then I'll inset that cross member to the thickness of this. Although I do want to catch this stud, so maybe I'll notch it. We'll find out. We'll figure it out. I mean, so my battery died on my laser level, or it just timed out. Laser level definitely helped doing this because otherwise it would have been a real pain to make sure that my line all the way across didn't interfere with the garage door. I think the next step is to get an 8-footer up here and to pre-drill and put screws. The good news is I got kind of a platform there with the wood underneath. All right. 14.5 is the measurement. Doesn't have to be perfect because it's just to get it up there. Put these back where they go. Line that up. Here I'm just making final plumb adjustments. Okay. Goal. All right, before we get carried away. That looks pretty dang good, doesn't it? Pretty good, doesn't it? All right. So, I would like to get further into the wood if I can, without the thing breaking off, but we'll find out. There's that stud. We're spinning. Oh, we're tilting. What happened here? See the nail pop? Let's see. What's right above it? That looks like metal. Oh, I was drilling out a screw. Where am I? There we go. All right, well, I'll try to go above it. Let's see what happens. I don't know if I necessarily love that. These are typically hot when you run them in and out like that. Let's figure out what's going on. That worked. So why is it not working? There we go. I think I was glancing it, or maybe it was a twisted stud. Who knows? Who knows? Now, I think I need to reset my ladder. So I've got 1, 2, 3 in here, and it's not going anywhere. But I want to get 5. Check that this is still running good. Yep. Okay. The next step is going to be getting a scrap piece of wood up on the ceiling joists that run this way, and we want it to be 2 feet off. So the main thing is I got 4 pieces from Home Depot that he cut for me at 2-foot widths. I need to check that now before I commit to a width because if there are 2 that are really close, I want them to be the ones on the garage wall up here, the door wall, because if they're a little bit off, 7/8, whatever, on left and right, that doesn't matter too much. What matters is the joint across. It doesn't really matter too much if it's off by 1/8 of an inch. It's a garage shelf. But my OCD, self-diagnosed, makes me want to check it. So I can already tell, just based on how they're standing on the floor, that one is bigger than the rest in terms of wider. So let's go one at a time here. So this is the project panel that I was talking about, where I saved a little bit of money compared to what it would have been MDF. So it's got a smooth side, which is good for the bends, and then it's got a rougher side, which I'll put down. So right off the bat, I'm measuring this at 23 3/4, 23 3/4. I'll get one on the other end to see how square his cut was. 23 3/4. So I think the one that matches it the most is the second one. We can actually line them up, or try to line them up. I don't hit too much stuff on my table here, and see how they behave. So it's a little bit more, I don't know if flimsy is the correct word, flexible maybe, than MDF. So it's not going to add too much rigidity to the platform shelf. However, that's not really the goal. The goal is just to distribute the weight to the structure of the 2x3s. So I think we'll be okay. That seems like these line up perfect. So these bottom ones will be the garage door wall. And then I've got one that is definitely wider than the other one. I can tell by like a 1/4 inch. So those will go on either side. But these line up nicely, flush all the way, which the only real thing you're going to see is at the edges when they meet in the middle above the garage door. So that being said, let's just pick one. It doesn't matter now. We picked our 2 that matter, that are actually going to join up with each other. The rest of them are going to join up, but at a corner, if that makes sense. Now we do have to be careful. This material does seem to want to snag, so we do have to be a little bit careful there. So this one, and you can see the bottom on this board. I have it flipped the other way now. This one is 23 7/8. So that should actually work out just perfect. And so this is roughly a 2x3, and I believe it's 10 feet long. And it's actually planed and jointed, so it's actually pretty decent lumber. I used them for guide rails. Yeah, 10 feet long, and they are 2 3/4 by 1 inch. So the material's kind of gone down. But when this is sunk up in, it'll actually bite. Let's see, I could show you by moving the camera or by tilting this up on edge maybe. Yep. So this is up on the ceiling trusses. And then this, you'll see with my face as the backer. There we go. this will actually poke through completely. So it'll actually grab a little bit of the drywall above, but that'll be all right. I could put some washers on it, but that's a lot of washers to modify it. But that's all right. I've got no utilities I'm going to hit up above. So there's no concern for the overdrive. That's one thing to always think about is what's behind the wall. Definitely no water pipes. The only thing that's up there is electric for the hoist for the engine, the garage door opener. And then there's one electric run that comes across for the outdoor light, but that's on an angle and that should be nowhere near where I'm sinking these. It's not Romex, it's an EMT, which is itself pretty shielded. So if this were to hit the EMT spot on, just say for whatever reason, it would glance off. So I'm not too worried about it. That being said, so I know this is 23 and 7/8. So I want this to be in the middle, and the thickness of the all thread is 3/8. So 3/8 times 2 on top and bottom, that's 6/16. So it would be half of 3/8 would be 3/16. That's how my brain works. So 3/16 is the thickness of half of the all thread. So if I want this center of this board to line up with the exact outside, I would need to be 23 and 7/8. It would be an eighth, which 3/16 is pretty much an eighth and a half, right? So I don't think it's going to matter much, is ultimately the case. That I'm just double checking because this is almost 3 inches wide. So if I have to move it back and forth by upwards of even an inch to catch the all thread based on the thickness of my eyelet. So here's a good example. So this eyelet, gotta back the threads off. This eyelet will pretty much be exactly like this on the frame of the shelving, right? Through a hole, obviously. But the all thread is gonna be pretty much, I would say, be a half an inch off. Let's see what that looks like. Just because I'm doing this on video and I want to be correct. So whenever you're measuring tight spaces, you can always burn an inch. So if I burn an inch, yep, it's half an inch off. So I want the center line of this board to be half an inch further away from the wall than the edge of this shelf. So that would put it at 24 and a half minus an eighth. So 24 and 3/8. So that's what I'm gonna mark for, is 24 and 3/8. We'll see, that should give me plenty of play, but that way it's just outside of the frame. I don't have to worry about being off the edge of my rail that goes up on the wall. So we're gonna go 23, what did I say? Should really write things down. So this is 23 and 7/8. So if it was 24, it'd be 24 and a half minus an eighth. So 24 and 3/8. That's correct. So you know what? Just because my memory is the way it is, let's get my writing utensil, which I made the mistake taking it out of my pocket. And I'm just gonna write that number down, 24 and 3/8. Just so I know. That's pretty close. You guys might be able to see that on the camera. 24 and 3/8. Oh man, it's 24 and a quarter, guys. That's pretty close. We're just eyeballing a measurement like that. So we're gonna come up here. We're gonna measure 3/8. So that's where we wanna shoot for there. And ideally, if we get 2 marks, and obviously the further away your marks, the more accurate you're gonna be. But if you get 2 marks on the wall, yeah, see that's 23 as it's set up right now. And 3/8. So now I've got marks to shoot for with my laser. So what I'm doing, guys, is I'm finding, so this is gonna be the center line of the board that I put up here. And then I'm gonna find the rafters that are 2 feet on center along this and then mark them out so that when I go to put my board up, I know exactly where to pre-drill and where to go. So that mark is slightly there, but I've got to move the base further away from the wall by just a hair. This is where patience is critical. So now I'm just perfect. You know what I call it? That should be 2 foot. Now, before I go too far, once I put the board up, I'm not gonna know that where the marks are that I'm trying to hit. I got 2 options. I could give myself offset marks, or what I could do is I could measure from one end and see where my studs start, my joists, my rafters, whatever you want to call them. Let's see if I've got something up in here. Nothing. It's interesting. Typically when they finish drywall, the edges do have something to catch on. But I don't know if it's a furring strip or what type of blocking they put up in there. So we're just gonna leave it. That's fine. I got two. And the next one's gonna be back there. So key to using painter's tape as a template is to make sure you got a nice 90-degree edge on your painter's tape to tuck up into the corner of the wall. If you don't, what'll end up happening is be a little bit off. Okay, 90 degree. I took and I cut it against the board with a knife. Only took a couple tries. So now what we'll do is put this back, this is where it's gonna be a little interesting, folks, but won't be too bad. We're gonna make sure that that gets right in the corner there. Then we're gonna push on it nice. If this falls off while I'm moving the ladder, it will be frustrating because I said something, it won't. So using that laser to center it, and if we move quickly, we can get to this last one. There. Now we've got a template. Golden. And then I'll go stud, stud, stud. And what's getting real old is having the ladder a bunch. But that's what this project is gonna be. Bunch up and down on the ladder. Because you're putting storage on the ceiling. So the square edge is what I want to put up to the square edge of the board. I won't pull it from there because I take a chance at ripping. If I don't rip right, this end, which is looser, I can pull from it. Try to keep it from taping on itself, ripping. I'm only loosely sticking it because I got to slide it more. But patience is a virtue. Okay, that's the first stud location there. Keep it tight. Second one. Like I say, my offset marks should talk to me the same way when we get it up there. I probably have enough length in this to catch one more stud, one more joist, but we will get to that when we get to that. I have it down here. It's easy. I'm going to pre-drill right where my stud marks are. So there's one. Always think about what you're drilling through and where your drill bit's going to go. You never want to drill into your nice table. I mean, that's kind of what work tables are for, but at the same token, you want to keep them nice for as long as you can, you know? Okay. So that's done. Now I'm going to pre-drill the trusses. Get it, stay there. And then ideally, I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4 trusses. So either one of these two is going to give me a good point to get it centered and be able to still move it left and right a little bit for final adjustments. So I'm going to take a handful of screws, put them in my pocket, drill ready, within reach. And then this should be long enough, if we can. It's going to be interesting. Should be long enough. Yeah, to wedge. So what I'll do is trying to in the center is going to be hard, but trying to catch it up here will actually be relatively easy. I'm going to leave it just a hair under what it would be thickness wise so that it doesn't fight me. And then we'll see how this works. Now I do need to be on the other side of that frame. Okay, put that there. Now the other thing that helps if you get a screw started, save yourself some effort. Okay, line this up. That is pretty much spot on. All right, one screw is holding it. I'm gonna get 2 screw in. The laser is blinking, but it's still pretty much right on. Pretty much. This side can come a little bit if it can. This is where, if it were to fall down, that would be sucky. Yeah, I'm not quite centered over there, and I am pretty centered there. I'm a little bit over. I'm a lot over there. So what we're gonna do is the laser looks pretty good. There might be a twist in this board too. So, but it's not going anywhere. And because of I'm gonna get a little persuasion. So add to the list of tools used on the job, a hammer. And we're not gonna give it much. We're just gonna give it a little. So we don't want that screw to do anything wonky in the truss, but we want to be a little bit more on center. Now my laser went off. So Now I'm really relying upon my marks. You see how that laser's on the center of the blue? Pretty much the center of the blue along. I think that's gonna be mint, guys. It's gonna be mint. So now we're gonna put the rest of the screws in. Here, I can give you an example on these boards. When you're building a frame, and I'm gonna put this so I can see you guys, you really want it to look like that. And you want your screws to come in from this edge and hit here. Versus if you come in like this, now you gotta put screws here. But if you think about it, this is where, in this example, this is where the wall face is. So you can't get screws here. So I'm gonna go on the edge and put screws like this. Versus if you did have to do this and just for whatever reason, for other constraints, you decide to do that, you could toenail through here, but it's a lot weaker of a connection versus going face to face with screws. So I'm looking at these to make sure it doesn't have too much of a twist. On the long one, it's got a little bit of a twist to it. Save that one for the short runs. Let's take a look at this guy. He's got even more of a twist, so he's even worse. So I'm gonna put him over here. I think this one looks pretty straight based on how it was stacking. Yep, she'll work. Not the best lumber, but I didn't have to pick it myself. So you take what you get. What's the worst one out of all these? Definitely this one. So this guy is gonna be short runs, if that makes sense. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this one to the same length as the other. Okay, because I wonder if I can get it on camera. If you look down his length, you can really see she's got some twist to her. So, which the twist only really matters in long runs. If you cut it up, a lot of the twist doesn't matter anymore. Like a glove, guys. Like a glove. The main thing I'm trying to shoot for here is I want that one to be in the center of this guy. And these that match are 23 3/4. So it needs to be 23 3/4 away from the wall for sure, because that's the shelf. So I can give myself my mark on here, because the back of the shelf is obviously going to the back of the wall. So 23 3/4. My tape measure will behave. 23 3/4 is here. And I want to be a 1/2 inch away from it. So right there. And I'll double check. We are 23 3/4. 4/4, sorry, it's going to be a hair more. That's where I want my all thread. And that is already locked in. And then that one doesn't really matter. I mean, it does matter, right? Because it will have to meet that piece. But this is the critical one because I want it to tie both shelves together. All together now. And we're going to put him maybe here. Kind of a cute looking clamp. Fun. Nothing's on fire. It's not too bad of a cut. Show the camera. Took longer than I wanted it to. Probably because I was also, if I had clamped the other side, I could have used the tool a little bit better. But that is how it came out. Not too bad. The real test is whether or not a thread or a nut will go on it. It's probably hot to the touch. Perfection. Okay. It is definitely warm. The whole thing is definitely pretty warm. And I'll need to cut that better. A metal blade on an oscillating tool might be the better tool because this cutoff wheel has seen better days. I've seen better days. One stopping, living strange. All right. We will try to pre-drill as straight and plumb as possible. That way, when we thread this in, it should go in relatively straight. And then I'm just gonna put a here's where we can get a little creative. I'm gonna put this on it because it's magnetic. Because we want it to be nice and plumb all the way around. All the way, all together now. And then where we can get creative is we can probably chuck the all thread in the drill and screw her in and make sure she's plumb. What the heck happened? Well, in my best attempts to keep her plumb, she isn't, which is unfortunate. She's a little bit out. Now she's a little in. That's better. Still can go a little bit one way or the other, but I like it. I like it. She threads. She threads. Touching the line. Touching the line. See me? I think you can. I'm just dark. We'll drill this one out. And we'll go over there and we'll drill that one out. And this one can be more in the center. Okay. Now that that's done, we will grab us one set of these. If she'll go. If I had a bigger drill bit, I probably would have gone with it. I can hammer it. I really care. Or I can just sit here and twist. Twist, 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 twist. Okay. Now we go on the back side. Throw one of those on. That's going to get in the way of the board. I'm going to have to cut that off. Yay, more steps. make a good old tight fit, guys. I like it. He's Picasso. Okay, nice and tight. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. That's what I'm talking about. And then this is just a little bit of like rough sandpaper I have hanging around. Just knock the edges off. Don't need to, but the lid will fit better that way. Okay, now comes the real moment of truth on the proof of concept. So before we go too far, I'm gonna shake these out. And I've got to put a washer on here and then get him lined up. And then another washer. And a nut. Well, proof of concept might have gone a little too hard. These washers may not be my friend. Because they are too big. I wonder if I can just put it up with a nut for now. So I've got two options that my brain is currently trying to work on. I can either A, cut these into like half moons, take the edge off, or I can get different washers, or I can tighten the nuts onto the eyelets with no washers. I think that blade works really well, so let's give it a try and see if it's a lot of finagling. This plus this into here. Let's see, where am I at? Yeah, so say this is just barely past the 2x3 there. And then this comes in. The all thread is, I could back these threads out and be fine, but I would then not be as tight into the wood. So that is an option, but then it won't really be tight. And I'd rather it be tight. So what I've got to do is I've got to pretty much trim that off so it'll slot in there. Not my prettiest work. Huzzah. Look at that. You see that? That is mint. Very nice cut. I'm pretty impressed. There's not much metal left there on the one side, but I'm not too worried about it because the weight bearing is not that crazy here. Now, can I do this with multiple hands? That is the question. Whew. Get my strong hand involved. See? Now we got something sturdy. Now I just need to run it up and get it lined up, front to back and everything else, and good to go. Okay, test 1, 2. All right, so I lost you there for a little bit. I think it's a storage thing. I did put you up higher, so hopefully I don't have to move you around a whole bunch to see everything I'm doing. Did clean up a little bit, organized a little bit. Really giving you a bird's eye view here. So what you missed was not much. That piece was pretty much proof of concept. It was solid. I was saying pretty much I got to figure out if I can run the lock nuts up. I can, up until my long sockets don't reach anymore, and then you have to go by hand. So that's what you missed. It wasn't anything thrilling. But I leveled them out. Now, when I pop a level across it, it's good in every which way. In fact, you've actually got a pretty good bird's eye view of the fact that it looks like one board up there, front and back. So obviously there's 2 boards there. So that's great. Now I think I've gotten to the point where I want to put the lid up. Pizza pie. And we're going to rotate it like this. And there goes my dog barking. I'm trying to do something. I love it. And then we're going to get it up on the ladder. And we're going to come back. Hopefully I'm not hitting anything behind me. Now we're going to get this in here. Like so. But now we've got to come up with it angled. Like so. Trust the process. Like so. How many times am I going to say like so? And then we're going to come into a jam because of the all thread that's in our way, which is real fun. So we need to go in the other way and see if that works better. It's going to be the same thing. Oh, you know what? I know what we need to do. We need to go down. This is where grip strength comes into play. You need to go down like this Come on around. Don't get stuck on anything. Come on down. Come on up. And this is where I probably should have had the slat in the back. But you live, you learn. All right, no turning back now. Now we go up like this. Now we get that in that corner. Like that. All right, there's your shelf. Okay. Now we've got to get this. Keep coming up like that. Almost in. Here we go. No, we've got the garage frame below us, so we can't do that. But we're real close. I should have really gone the other way with my slat. Something was telling me. We do have play in the bottom rung by me, which is good for this very instance. But so my original thought process was to get it back up behind this frame. Rotating forward that way, which is the way we're gonna have to go. Like so. Like so. Like so. There we go. Okay. So we're a little bendy. We need to ride it down while being clipped in. Don't worry, guys. It's gonna make it. I know you're worried. But don't be. Okay. We're kind of hooked there. Would you look at that? We have a shelf. And very carefully, without getting it everywhere, lift this up. Give myself a bead of glue. It's probably an extra step that probably doesn't need to happen, but makes you feel good. Now, if I was a smart man, I would have done the back first. But nobody ever said I was smart. It's not the best quality, but the storage filled up and I want to finish this. good, guys. And now I just need to put some stiffeners in and some frame movers in, and we're done. That's a shelf. Ooh, doggy, that's a shelf. Took a little bit longer than I thought it would, but everything does. Everything does just a little bit. But that is nice and solid, guys. Nice and solid. Not going anywhere. Probably the sturdiest shelf in the Midwest. All right, guys, we're back. Woodworking engineer here. We are working on the overhead shelves in the garage. The left side is finished. Now we're working on getting the back rail put up. So I'm gonna grab my 4-foot level and a marker and a stud finder, do what we did in the past video, continue on. And I've got my tripod set up with my laser level to give me a nice level line across so that my shelf is nice and level. So let's get to it. Off camera though. Oh yeah, and that happens sometimes too. Oh boy, we are definitely in the dark. Good thing I got the laser. Come on, Bessie. Should really wire a switch there. All right, we're good for like 20 minutes. So now we've got, and I can take you around, we have got a nice line with stud markings everywhere. So that line goes across. See all my S's on the wall? Those are where studs are at and where I can pre-drill and put rail up that looks like this. All right, guys, we're back. I cut this to length. 85.5 inches was my measurement. That gets me to the middle part of the garage. I was debating on whether or not to put the joint right over top of the garage rail, but I think that'll be the cleanest look. My methodology is I'm going to actually build this one on the table due to the fact that I have a shelf to use for support to attach to. So hopefully it works pretty well. Let's get into it. So right now, what we're doing is we're just connecting it all down here with screws. And then we're gonna disconnect a few pieces and parts and act like this is the piece on the wall. And then we'll be pretty good. These boards have some twists in them, and I don't like it because I need at least 3 more without twists, and the 3 I have, plus what's on the table, not looking good twist-wise, guys. Okay, so in essence, this is what we're building. So if this is I don't know if this is going to be easy to see on camera, but say this big piece is the one that's already up there. We're going to build this T shape in order to accept it, so that when you go to fasteners, I can fasten this to this, and then fasten this to the wall. You'll see, I think. I think we're going to take a break, let the glue set up for a little bit, 15-20 minutes. Take a filming break, decompress, and get ready to get this up there. Till next time. All right, guys, we're back. We took a break. We're going to charge a battery so we get that going. My wonderful assistant, aka my wife, is here. She's hiding from the camera currently. We're gonna see if the glue holds. It's been roughly 30 minutes, 40 minutes since we nailed this down and got it going. Moment of truth. We're gonna take the clamp off, see if it explodes. Dun dun. Ta-da! Didn't really explode. It did kind of twist a little. So, but she lays flat. So, in essence, screws will hold it. Shot. Hi, Amy. I'm just going to go back down the way that it was. That might fall. On the camera?
Yeah.
You do realize it's going to be completely silent because the audio is going to the mic on my shirt.
Completely?
Yeah.
I told a joke and everything. That sucks.
Oh, I can picture it now. Gonna make a little caption saying Amy thinks she's being funny. for the time being. Surprised he stayed. And then here's where the key. You have to thread this stuff on first, because if you don't, you're never going to get it on there. See what I mean? We're going to thread this in here, like so. Like so. And now we're almost there. And we're looking pretty plumb. So we're going to take our open wrench, which is not the right size. Now before we chucked it into the drill, which I can still do, it will go faster. But last time I did that, it kind of went a little squirrely on me. So I'd much rather take some extra time and just do this more appropriately, if you will. Not that there's any right or wrong way. Okay. Now we're gonna go into the wood. We go to town. I'm not going to do this until the socket stops. Now we're raising the shelf. And before I get too crazy, I'm going to get a level so that I can check how we're doing as we're doing it. That's almost perfect right there. I can tell we need to go a little bit more. And there's a bow in that. So this is the one that probably matters more. We need to go up about an inch. Nine sixteenths, and tighten this down. So now we've locked that into place. And man, I do say so myself. Let's not go We are solid. And I mean, I don't know if you can see this on camera, but there's absolutely no flex on this. And it'll even get better when I put one here, but I'm pulling down with all my weight and it's barely moving, like a 1/4 inch, maybe more like an 1/8. So I think it can truly be said, that's not going nowhere. I would climb up on it, but that's kind of tight. And my wife left, so if I get stuck up there, that's not a good phone call to have. Here is half the shelves. I think that's a pretty good stopping point for right now. We will reconvene with the other half, and maybe we'll time lapse that second half more so, since you've already seen it done on the first half. And yeah, thanks for watching. Mint. Show you guys and then we'll go take dinner. So you can see, oh, sorry about that. There's a little cradle for that end of the board to sit into. And then we're gonna grab the other end with a piece of 2x3 on the back. and we will reconvene with some all thread and some cross bracing. But pretty much the rest of it is repeat and repeat from what you've seen. So I just need to find out what I'm going to use to grab the 2 all threads on this side and figure out what lumber I'm going to cut down for some bracing. And if the bracing comes at a later date and I go pick up another 2x3, that's another option too. So until next time, or maybe later tonight, depending on if I have energy, we'll see you. All right, guys, so I've got last cross brace here. I've put these up here, used a combination of 2x3 and 2x4 on edge. 2x4 will actually grab the edges better of the platform up top. So that's always good. Main reason is because this is literally my last 2x3. I think that's about all the scrap I have out of the 2x3s. That and probably those right there. So not much. I would definitely advise to put a few more 2x3s in the material list for this. So that last cross brace is going to go here where my drill is. I'll set you guys up. You can see how I've been attaching it. Pretty much I can get to them on one side on edge on the front, but on the back side, instead of toenailing it, which is what I did over there on those, which is a fine connection, the better connection is to actually put it on edge, a couple screws there, pre-drill your holes, and screw it into the back rail. So you guys will see that when I set you guys up here. I'll grab this. Drill is already up there. Screws are already in my pocket. Figured I'd show you the last one. Oh, we need to slide the ladder a little forward. So it's got to go 30. What was my math? Of course, I'm up here without a tape measure or anything. It's like I came unprepared for the job. Can you tell I'm running out of steam tonight? We'll still probably try to get the all thread in. I mean, it's not too much more for the all thread. Plus, that's kind of the fun part. So, measure from here to there. Get a little bit more out. We have 71. So that'll be 35 plus a ½ inch. So I'm staring at it right there, pretty much where that funny look in the wood is. So we're gonna put that there. And then what I've been doing, if I need to, I'm trying to make them a little bit tighter. This one came out a little bit looser, but that's okay. I've been clamping so that I can somewhat take a hand off. Get my screw ready. Get my screw started. There we go. There's one. Check for twist. Fix it if it needs a little. That's what the hammer's for too. That looks pretty good to me. It's garage shelves at the end of the day. Okay, that side's done. And we can take our clamp out. And I would suggest pre-drilling this, but this wood's been relatively working with me. more for good measure, even though one's probably enough. Okay, there we go. Rock solid. So obviously you can see there's a little bit of give yet. The all thread's yet to come up here. We're done with the clamp for now. Clamping it on your ladder is kind of a good thing to do. That way you can kind of, I don't know, need an extra set of hands is right there for you. So next step is to throw the laser up, get a line for a 2x4, literally our last 2x4 in the shop today, but that's okay, we're gonna finish. Got a lot of offcut 2x4s from past projects, but nothing with a lot of length. Let's see, I might have to place this guy back here. So I don't know if you can see that on the ceiling. That's where I'm trying to get my laser lined up with, is pretty much the edge 2x3 there, so that it'll catch the all thread. And honestly, that's pretty dang close. There's the middle of the 2x4. So if I pick up and go to the left, adjust my laser. That's perfect. All right, don't bump the tripod as you walk around it. That's always the hardest part. So we are on center, which means we want our center of our board to be slightly over, but anywhere in that area will be just peachy, because the 2x4 is a lot wider than necessary for all thread. All right. Let's relax, shall we? We've been going at it pretty hard here for quite some time. Let's take a breather. Take the lock off the garage. And then I think we're good to open. You're gonna watch it with me. Run the truck back. And huzzah. We don't hit any of the all thread. And we've got ourselves shelving. All right. Shelves are up. We're all done. Give you one last look around so you can see everything that I was doing. So there's, if you can see it, the patch job in the back of the rail. There's the storage. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Give you a sweeping view up here. From that angle. Thanks for joining me. Hopefully I'll cut this video down a little bit shorter than it actually took. I think it took me roughly probably about 15 hours, give or take, but I kind of built as I went and modified. So if you're doing stuff a little bit more standard, maybe you'll go a little bit quicker. But it was a nice project to film. Some troubles here and there, but got through it, and some pretty sturdy shelves. So until next time, woodworking engineer,